Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. I am honored this morning to have our junior senator here from the state of Massachusetts with us. So not a lot of commentary. We're going to jump right in because Elizabeth Warren, the whole federal delegation is doing a lot. But one of the major things we're going to talk about with him in a few moments is his advocacy for the release of Rümeysa Öztürk. And if I did not get that right, he will correct me. But we are going to bring in the good Senator Ed Markey this morning. There is one point of information we'll discuss toward the end that is interesting, but we're going to speak with him in just 2 seconds. So do me a favor, hit that share button and invite others to come in to speak with Senator Ed Markey this morning. So without further ado, we're going to bring him in. Senator, how are you?
Good morning. I feel invigorated being on your show and talking about a daily battle against Donald Trump and his acolytes seeking to undermine all of the programs that are in place to help every family be able to achieve their God-given abilities.
Senator, you said acolytes and where you jumped right in. Senator, if I may ask you, greet the audience. And as it's your first time here, I do this with Mayor Wu, Congresswoman Pressley, and it's your first time here. I want to ask you, you talked about Trump, and a lot of what's going on is based on morals and values. Your morals and values were created during your journey and time of growing up. So if you could greet the audience and then just give us a couple of minutes, sir, with all due respect, of who is Ed? Who informed Ed? Who is Ed? What is his values and his morals? And then we'll jump right into the business, sir.
No, thank you. And thanks for having me on. Very much appreciate the honor. Yeah, I'm from Malden. My grandparents moved to Malden from Ireland. Then they have 5 daughters in Malden. My mother was the second oldest daughter, and they were hardworking, obviously. But when my mother was 17 and a senior in high school and senior class president, my grandmother passed away. And so my mother had to be pretty much the single mom for her 3 younger sisters, and the older sister had to go to work in order to provide for the family. And so she raised that family. Then my mother got married to my father, who drove a truck for the Hood Milk Company when she was 37. My father was 34. And then she had me when she was 39, and my twin brothers when she was 40. So she had 3 boys in a year. And then she raised all of us in Malden as well. And we worked hard. I was a commuter to Boston College and a commuter to Boston College Law School. My brothers and I, we could not afford to live away at college. My father worked for the Hood Milk Company. It was just the way it was. And living there in Malden showed me, however, that I was being given opportunities that my mother had not been given, that my grandparents had not been given back in the village in Ireland. And my mother continued to reinforce that point with me, that I had to maximize my God-given abilities. Now, today, I still live in Malden, and Malden is now transformed from what it was over the years. Last year at Malden High School, it was the most diverse high school in the United States. About 25% Black, 25% white, 25% Asian, 25% Latino. And my wife and I, we still live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. And those families. Those kids want to have the very same opportunities which I have. And that's what animates me in this battle against Trump as he is trying to undermine this system that got created. It's still imperfect, and there's a lot of work that has to be still done in order to make it better than it is today. But a system that allows everyone to be able to maximize their God-given abilities. And so what really ticks me off on a daily basis is the way he tries to demonize uh, communities of color, demonize the immigrant community that is so hardworking. I see it in Malden on my streets every single day. Malden has about 65,000 people, and Boston's about 650,000 people. So Malden's about 10% of the size of the city of Boston. So that's what animates me. And then I was able at age 25 to get elected to the Massachusetts State Legislature, representing Malden up in the State House. And it's there that I got to meet Mel King and Doris Bunty and Bill Owens, and to begin to partner with them, one, to vote to create the first Black Senate seat in the city of Boston, and then two, in another historic vote, to uphold the veto of the institution of a death penalty in the state of Massachusetts. So I was learning from them early on at age 25, 26 about what would have to happen. And that was built upon my first job when I was 22, in my first year at law school, working in the South End to just be an assistant blocking the 8-lane highway that they were trying to build through the South End. It was called the South End Bypass, but it would have pretty much destroyed the South End. So those are my formative experiences that help to guide me today in terms of the fights that I fight, the enemies that I try to make, and the people that I stand up for every single day in partnership with, as you're saying, Elizabeth Warren, Ayanna Pressley, to make sure that there is a voice that is given to those who need help the most.
Well, Senator, let's jump right in, because you used the point of your parents teaching you to use your God-given ability. You just mentioned Senator Warren, Congresswoman Pressley you work with often, but one of the main things that you use your God-given ability to do is to bring that sister home. Can you talk to us about that advocacy? You talked about, people of color being demonized and speaking out over free speech. We'll get into Doge and a couple of things after that, what they're trying to do. I see your sign there about Social Security, but your God-given ability just a few days ago brought someone back home to their family and friends. Can you talk about that, sir, and just anything that you're doing? And if you want to add anything that we can continue to do to fight the fight.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for raising that issue. About a month and a half ago, 6 ICE agents whisked Rümeysa Öztürk off of the streets of Somerville. She was a graduate student, a Fulbright scholar. She was writing a PhD thesis on how social media can be used positively for young people in our society. And they whisked her off of the streets, moved her to Vermont, and then flew her down to Louisiana to put her into a prison in a remote part of Louisiana with 1,000 other women in that prison, surrounded by barbed wire. They never charged her with a crime. They never, in fact, presented any evidence, except for the fact that she had written an op-ed in the Tufts Daily newspaper, talking about the position that the Tufts administration had taken on the war in Gaza. And that was it. That's the totality of what she had done wrong, according to the Trump administration. But no crime was committed. And so Congresswoman Pressley and Congressman Jim McGovern and I, we went down 3 weeks ago to Louisiana, to that prison, to go and to visit her. And it was eye-opening to see how they had treated her. She was dressed in an orange jumpsuit. She has asthma. They weren't giving her the proper medical treatment for her asthma. If there are prisoners there that want, for religious purposes, different foods, they're very slow to provide that. At night, if they ask for an extra blanket because it's too cold, they don't receive that extra blanket. And so it was very clear that this was an attempt by the Trump administration to take Rümeysa out of Massachusetts and put her down in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the most conservative in the United States, in order to have that Fifth Circuit rubber stamp anything that Trump wanted to do to any of these people. And so we then worked very hard to create the atmospheric that would return her to Massachusetts. And so on Saturday night, Congresswoman Pressley and I were at Logan Airport to welcome her home because a federal judge had ordered her to be released on bail. But it's just a further example of how Donald Trump, his administration, ICE, are trampling upon First Amendment rights of free speech, Fifth Amendment rights of due process that were being denied to Rümeysa, but are a part of this culture that Donald Trump is creating in our country, where people can just be denied their fundamental constitutional rights. And we were proud to have accomplished that goal. We told her how much we loved her, that we would stand by her, that we would complete the task of ensuring that she is ultimately completely exonerated for these flimsy, actually non-existent crimes that she had been attempted to be charged with, although no evidence had ever been provided. So that's a way in which we can put a spotlight, a Klieg light on injustice in our society, because that is the way in which Donald Trump wants to now have our country operate, just under the rule of Donald Trump and the rule of Elon Musk.
So, Senator, let's jump right in. One, thank you for you and Congresswoman Pressley for the advocacy that you all did to get her home, and there are many others. And it's just interesting to see what the attempts that are being made in this country. And so when we talk about Doge and Elon Musk, let's go there. The budget, Medicaid, food stamps. There are a lot of things that a lot of residents, some there in Malden, here in Boston, those who you represent, need these services. In some cases, Social Security paid into for decades, sir. Can you give us a status update? We know what they're doing, what you're doing, how we can support the advocacy in other spaces. You, Senator Warren, and also Congresswoman Pressley. Talk to. If I say Elon Musk and Doge, what's your response, sir?
He didn't get elected to anything. He's not allowed under the Constitution to supersede what the United States Congress had passed as laws, saying that programs should be funded. He doesn't not have a capacity to supersede what the courts decide in terms of what is constitutional. So they were trying to just have arbitrary cuts to programs. That issue was taken to the courts, and that's being blocked. Doge and Elon Musk wanted to revoke birthright citizenship. That's being blocked in the courts. Doge and Elon Musk wanted to give access to the most private information of Social Security and tax records to the Trump administration. That is being blocked. He is making Doge stand for the Department of Gutting Everything, and so it's being stopped largely in the courts. But at the same time, now through the legislative process, they are trying to cut these programs in Congress: Medicaid, programs for education, programs for opportunities for every every young person in our country. So here's the numbers. 50% of all children in the United States are on Medicaid. 50%. 50% of all children in the United States will be on SNAP, on supplemental nutrition at some point in their life. Children need Title I, which is the program to ensure that funding goes into schools that have the poorest children in our society. And IDEA, programs that then provide funding for kids that need a little extra help inside of the educational system. So they want to loot these programs that have been put in place in order to provide more opportunities for education and healthcare for every child, every family in our society. So we're there battling every single day to make sure that we put a spotlight on these programs. And increasingly, even Senator Josh Hawley yesterday wrote, from a very conservative senator from Missouri, wrote that it would be very immoral on the one hand and politically dangerous to cut Medicaid, for example. So I'm saying no to all of these Republican draconian cuts to programs. I am battling as hard as I can in order to make sure that those programs stay on the books. And so isn't Elizabeth Warren, and so isn't Congresswoman Pressley. This is a historic moment. And all of it is being done by the Republicans in order to have tax cuts for billionaires. They want to steal, rob from the poorest, from those who come from the same kind of families that my mother arrived in Malden, and to just take that money and hand it over to billionaires in the form of tax breaks. And you know what we saw? We saw on Inauguration Day, we saw the three wealthiest guys in America sit right behind Donald Trump. Those three guys alone control more wealth than the bottom 50 percentile of our population combined. They don't need a tax break. They don't need anything more. And we need to keep those programs intact for healthcare and for education and for every other need which people have in our society, so that they can maximize their God-given abilities the same way that I was able to maximize their God-given abilities, the same way you were able to do so. So this is an intergenerational responsibility that we have to every child in our society.
Senator, when you talk about intergenerational, one of the things I want to end out with, well, we have another topic when we talk about younger generational, particularly young man, in a couple of seconds. The energy back in, and I'm just thinking about this in real time. Back in 2020, post George Floyd, a lot of young people were in the streets. They were protesting. We still have that energy. Some of us old heads, and you can appreciate it, there was a critique of our young people that they didn't keep the same energy to get legislation and things across the line. Thank you for naming the intergenerational. What is it, along with the protests, that all of us can do to not just support the work that you all are doing as we should, but in our daily lives, Senator, how do we combat wherewith we can self-care? Some people tune out. What should we be doing right now, Senator?
Well, it's the 250th anniversary of the beginning of the American Revolution. It all started right in Boston with Paul Revere. They were revolutionaries. And then out of Boston came the abolitionist movement. They were revolutionaries. The suffragette movement, revolutionaries. The same-sex marriage movement. The Freedom Riders going south from Boston. They were revolutionaries. In each and every instance, including the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, which all started right here in Massachusetts. That was revolutionary, that everyone would have a guaranteed access to healthcare. So we can't agonize, we have to organize. That's what it's all about. And Trump is threatening to try to undermine each and every one of those programs that were put in place. And by the way, we need even more programs. We need to expand Medicaid. We need to expand Social Security. We need to expand the protections which we have in place. So I will say this, that after George Floyd, after the Green New Deal, which I introduced with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez back in 2019, young people mobilized. They were up. They were working. And a big part of the Biden agenda that was signed in 2021 and 2022, it came because of the energy of young people that those programs were signed. And right now, Trump is declaring war on all of that, plus everything that has been put on the books in the preceding two generations from activists. So this generation now is rising up. We saw 100,000 people on Boston Common and at Boston City Hall. We are seeing the activism which we're going to need in order to confront Trump, and it just has to get bigger and bigger and bigger as every single day transpires. This is the moment historically for this generation to rise up.
Senator, I know your time is limited, and I'm listening to you. I watch the news. I see what's going on. I see people impacted by this, and there's a part of me that just wonders, what the ultimate motive is, and that's a whole nother session in itself, from racism to oligarchy and things like that. But we do appreciate the advocacy that you all are doing, and as you said, there's always room to expand and for more. And so thank you for the update. And this platform is available to you when you need to mobilize us or update us. And also, thanks to Farouk, there's a two-way line that we can pass information and share it, up to you. And so, Senator, we've covered the work. And I wanted to, self-care is important. Away from 9 to 5. This is a job you're committed to, but I'm sure in your leisure, you watch sports, presumably, you spend time with your family. With all that you're doing, did you have a chance to watch any sports last evening?
Oh, when Jason Tatum went down, first of all, we feel terrible because he gives it everything he's got every single day. Joe Mazzulla has to fight to have him get out of the game. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to play. And so, yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to see this guy go down. And now I know that the rest of the Celtics, led by Jalen, will try to band together so that they can try to win the next game at Boston Garden. But I grew up playing basketball in Malden. My mother says that it's kind of my downfall that I paid more attention to basketball than trigonometry and calculus, and she does believe that's the great weakness which I have. This injury to Jason is just something that I think all of us looked on with absolute,
we cringed last night.
But also a sense that maybe this year that our destiny is different. But I know Jalen's going to respond differently. I think we could see him have the greatest game of his career in Game 5. That would be my hope. But as somebody who I played basketball 3 times a week until I was age 60. So that just gives you an idea of what I love in life. It is basketball. Basketball is, to me, one of the most beautiful. But basketball and politics, those are my two loves, and my wife. Okay, but
absolutely, you got it.
My wife is number one.
You better fix that up real quick. Senator, before you go, I did that transition purposely because I talk about the mayor, Congresswoman Pressley, Warren, people in community. There is a lot of work that goes into this. I hear that basketball and sports is one of the things, but I'm going to be intentional and ask you 2 things. One, what do you do for real self-care? And Senator, I'm going to challenge you to not identify anything that's work, helping my constituents and things like that. What do you do for self-care? And what message would you give to your constituency that has multiple intersections of marginalization? As much as we've revolutionized out of Massachusetts, it's because a lot of the most marginalized people live here and work here. So self-care, well, speak to that population, and we'll end with self-care, because I want to ensure that that's something we promote here, is self-care, especially for folks in spaces like where you move.
Well, obviously, we're a family. And it doesn't make any difference what is your color, what is your income, where you ultimately were raised. Okay, but if you're in Boston right now, you're part of a family, and you can see how Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans wanted to drag Mayor Wu down to Washington in order to put a spotlight on Boston, to say that there's something wrong with us because we want to protect the immigrant community. But it's a point of pride for us. It's what we think makes us great. It's homogeneity might work for Japan, but it's heterogeneity. It's all of us as part of one big family that makes us great. And that means that we have to care for everyone. We have to see everyone. We have to see the people who are most in need. We have to see those who are incarcerated. So the way I view it is that Jesus, he preached the Sermon on the Mount, but that's blessed are the poor, blessed are the sick, blessed are the prisoners, blessed are those most in need. And so I'm fighting for our family. I'm fighting for all of us. And we all have to do that right now. And whether it's Rümeysa Öztürk whisked off the streets and put in a prison, or it's an attempt to cut programs for those most in need, we have to see this intersectionally. We have to see this as part of a family. And that's what I try to do every single day, because I know I'm not any smarter than my mother or my father. And I'm never going to work as hard as my father, the milkman, who had to get up and put milk on the doorsteps every single day. But I know the families of today in Malden, in Boston, are doing the same thing for their children. They're working very hard, and there are programs today, however, that will give those children opportunities that their parents never dreamed of. That's really what this fight is all about. It's for every family. We're one big, loving family. That's what Boston has always been about.
Yes, sir. Senator, last thing in that fight, what do you do for self-care besides basketball? What do you do for self-care to maintain? I heard a reference to Jesus. If it's spirituality, what do you do for self-care? And we'll let you go.
Well, my Fitbit is my conscience, and my Fitbit has me walking 10,000 steps a day. And that's 5 miles. I have to do it every day. I might have it in my pocket right here. I hope I do.
We believe you, sir.
And my Fitbit is my guide to who I am and what I have to achieve every single day. And my wife is a public health doctor. So every night, she makes sure that we eat salmon and asparagus in order to be healthy. And again, because she is a public health doctor committed to public health, we wind up eating in a way that maybe my side Dunkin' Donut attraction, doesn't reflect in terms of what her goals should be for me. But every single day, I try to meet that 5 mile goal, and then eat as healthy as I can eat as well. But also, I need the Celtics. I need the Red Sox. I need that mental break so that I can watch a game and be able to pretend that once again I'm 16 years old down the park trying to throw up my 3-pointers.
Listen, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for your transparency. We were very intentional in the end there, and I was with Yard Time Entertainment last night, and they do a bowling league for formerly incarcerated young men, led by a formerly incarcerated brother that's moving in mental health. I'll make sure Farouk gets the information so you can learn about that, because we saw these young men playing, and I even saw you light up when you talked about that. So, and as much as you appreciate your wife's public health service, your disposition switched a little bit when you talked about the salmon and the asparagus versus the Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, it's the duality of life. You know, it's how you. And by the way,
yes,
I've actually introduced the bill with Cory Booker to create a program at the Small Business Administration make revenues available for formerly incarcerated individuals to be able to maximize their entrepreneurial abilities as well. So that's all a part of the intersectionality, the intentionality that we have to bring to politics as well. So I've got ultimately, more than anything, basketball.
Yes,
as my mental health break from all of the politics that surrounds us in this Trump era of trying to make America great again by making America hate again. For one brief 2-hour period, we can watch those Celtics games. And tomorrow, we're going to have the upset of upsets when the Celtics win Game 5.
I know that's right, Senator. Thank you so much. We did learn from you today that you love basketball. We learned you love community. We learned you love Malden, and you're still there. And we learned about the advocacy that you and the delegation are doing. Thank you so much for your service, Senator, and hope to see you again in community soon. I couldn't find the picture from when we saw each other at Estella, and that's our inside joke. But Senator, thank you so much for being with us today. And Farouk and Joe and everybody knows if there's messaging that needs to get out, get it to us, and I'll make sure Farouk gets connected with Yard Time.
Great. Thank you so much.
Senator,
a lot of fun being on with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Folks, I hope you learned something about our senator today, not just about him as an individual. And I was very intentional there, since this was his first time on the platform, but learn about the advocacy that's going on, and not just in these times, but the advocacy that they were doing for student debt and things like that. So I'm so glad that you all were able to be with us today. There are a lot of comments. Shout out to Darian, the sheriff. Wait a minute, I got some heavy hitters right here on Instagram. Darian Johnson, Steve Tompkins, and Carlos Enriquez, and Soul Guy is was in the cafe as well. Okay. Some good brothers there. Let's check a little bit of the comments, and we're going to let you go because we're down to the last few days of getting ready for the health fair. So thank all of you for joining, and thank you for the comments to Senator Markey, and also for being here with us today. Oh God, I'm just looking at some of the comments and some of the trolls. So anyway, yeah. We are going to get ready to wrap up in just a couple of seconds, but all of you that are here, I'm not going to get into the names right now, but just remember, you have until tomorrow to pre-register for the health fair. Your Healthy Java Joseph R. Betancourt Health Fair is taking place Saturday, May 17th at 11 a.m. it says Reggie Lewis here, but shout out to RCC. We have been moved to the student commons. It is much more accessibility friendly, and it's a wider open space. And so we're actually going to be in building 3, the academic building. Those of you that pre-register are getting off to the event email, but don't forget this Saturday at 11 a.m. We have confirmed that the lunch is going to be provided by Everybody Gotta Eat. DJ Jeff 2 times will be with us DJing as well. And most importantly, you're coming to get the health information you need. And in the midst of that, we're going to give away gift cards, custom-made sneakers, clothes from Black Dollar, a couple of baskets for our sisters, and I'll find a self-care basket, I hope, somewhere for a brother as well. So please come out, get the health information you need, and we have some prizes for you while you're there and some good food. And for those of you that are watching, like, comment, follow Java with Jimmy. Senator Ed Markey comes in, Congresswoman Pressley comes in, Mayor Michelle Wu comes in, Elizabeth Warren comes in, but we bring doctors in. We bring in people that are working in community to address the issues daily. So the elected officials and everyone is fine as a partner in this space. But this is a place where we tell Black stories, the Black experience, marginalized community experiences, and also talk about the celebrated lives that of those that are doing great things in our community, of our ancestors. This is a space for everybody. As long as you are respectful and don't share values that move away from equity, you're welcome here. Welcome to the Java family. All of y'all go like, follow on all platforms at Java with Jimmy as you're watching now, and be a part of this. Be a part of this movement. All right. First time here today, raise your hand, identify, especially all of our folks on Twitter that never engage and never comment. And I'm going to go right there and call y'all out real quick, because on Twitter right now, hold on, there is 300 of y'all. Somebody say something. I'm messing. Thank all of you for being here today. We appreciate Senator Markey and his team for making this happen. And good morning. I was getting ready to start saying names and I'm going to get in trouble. Good morning to everybody, all the mothers, no matter where you're watching. And we will talk to you all soon, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Guess what? The Coalition for a Resilient and Inclusive Waterfront will be with us. We have someone coming in that works in the art space, and I think it is our first episode of this year. We've been in partnership with them for a few years, and let me just get the information here. We're going to put the flyer out in just sometime this afternoon, to be honest. Where is it? Here we go. So tomorrow we are excited to check in with the Charles River Conservancy. They are going to talk about their work that they are doing, and also an event that they have coming up, and we will hear more from them tomorrow at 10 a.m. So tomorrow is Waterfront Wednesday. All right. So come in and join us as we talk about equity, inclusion, and resilience there on the waterfront. Also, this past weekend, Latoya minus Miss Teresa and the family celebrated an event, but today is officially May Day. I saw that in the comments, and I'm just trying to find Miss Teresa's comment here in the comments so I can get it right. Boom, 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 boom. But today is officially May Day. I got to hug Latoya on Sunday at the send-off for the march. Here it is. So today is officially May Day in honor of my great niece, Deja Nicole Jenkins Minus. For those of you that remember some years ago, we held space to support the family. And from there, Miss Teresa is a part of the Java family. She is not a mother. I don't care if she carries a pocketbook and has mints. She's just not a mother yet. That we ain't gonna put that on her. That's reserved for a little bit for our seniors. She's motherly, and she's mother adjacent. But when I saw that, I said, "Oh, somebody gonna get in trouble." But no, Miss Teresa and Latoya and the family and the community, we are holding space for you today in celebration of her life and everything that Latoya and you have done after to keep her memory alive, and even the space that we held that got information out to young people. So, Miss Teresa, thank you for all that you do. And again, Milagro, thank you. Waterfront Wednesday is at 10 a.m. tomorrow through our partnership with the Coalition for a Resilient and Inclusive Waterfront crew. So they'll be with us at 10 a.m. tomorrow, folks from the Charles River Conservancy. I think I got that right. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you.